sir.
Yes, sir, he says. Yes, sir, he says.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, guys? It is Will here, back again once again for another episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast. The divisional round is upon us. We are really getting into the nitty-gritty of it. There was 32 teams in the league, and now there are 8. This is the best part of football, the playoffs, and I can't wait. This is probably my favorite week of football, honestly. There's a lot of games, a lot of up to stake. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have any much else to comment. Shane, what was your thoughts? Jesus, I can't talk today. Oh my God, Shane, what was your thoughts on the games last week, the wild card weekend? Were they good games?
They were good games. I just want to say the Cowboys are the most disappointing team in history. That's all I want to say.
Also, I'm never betting on the Pittsburgh Steelers ever again. So
how'd that go for you?
Good. I could have won $200, but since they can't cover a 12.5-point spread, I lost. So thank you, Big Rapist Burger.
Yeah.
Burger boy. Enjoy retirement. Don't touch any more girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So today, guys, we got a couple of news. We don't really have a lot, mostly just coaches and stuff. And then we're going to go right into the games. There's only 4, so this episode's going to be pretty short. And the episode's going to get shorter as we go on, as there's lots of games to cover. But yeah, Shane, you ready to go into the quick news?
Yeah.
So we got the Seattle Seahawks are firing defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. The Panthers are hiring former Giants coach Ben McAdoo as their new offensive coordinator. The Ravens fire defensive coordinator Don Martindale after having the second worst passing defense in the NFL. And lastly, the Giants are hiring Joe Schoen, I think that's how you say it, as their new GM, who was in the Buffalo Bills organization. So Shane, do you have anything like you want to quickly add or say about these 4 hires or?
No, there's not really much to say. They're just, there's not really any big news that we have this week. Just because it's playoffs, but I think Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson decided to say he wants to explore his options this offseason. That obviously doesn't necessarily mean he's not coming back to the Seahawks, but he just wants to see what options are out there. I heard that. I don't know if you heard that or not, but
I did.
But that's the only really other thing I have to say about that.
So Shane, lead us into our first game, man. And this game is actually going to be happening in like a little bit over an hour.
Yeah, so this is honestly, I think this is probably going to be the most interesting game that we have this coming week, just because of the backstories behind these teams this year. So we have the 4th seed Bengals, who are 10-7. We're going to Tennessee to face off against the 1st seed Titans, who had the bye week last week. Obviously, they're the 1st seed. They are 12-5, and the Titans are 4-point favorites. The Bengals had won their first playoff game in 31 years. Now they're going to Tennessee to face the Titans, who get Derrick Henry back, who had foot surgery, and I believe he still finished top 8 in rushing, which is insane. He's going to be the X factor. Will he be rusty? Will he pick up where he left off in the beginning of the year? And the Titans' defensive line is the only D-line in which every player on that line that has at least 8 sacks in the entire NFL. So that'll be interesting with the Bengals running game as well. The Bengals' young receivers with Higgins, Boyd, and then obviously Jamar Chase. And Joe Burrow, he's been, phenomenal these last, couple of weeks, obviously. The Bengals this year, for most of the year, they've been, 50-50 on, how they play. There'll be some games they play like the best team in the league, and some they'll just, they just won't have what it takes. My question here for you, Will, is if the Bengals can stop Derrick Henry, and keep him from running them over constantly, does the Bengals have a shot of beating the Titans in this game?
I mean, yeah, that's going to be the key X factor is Derrick Henry's health. Mike Vrabel, the head coach for Tennessee, has already said that he's not going to be on a snap count, and he will just beat Derrick Henry. So it'll be interesting to see how much the Titans do use him. If they're going to give him 30 carries, 25 carries, 20 carries, that's going to be something to watch for. But I think he is the X factor. If he's the old Derrick Henry, which I expect him to be, I think the Titans are going to run all over the Bengals. But the Bengals are nothing to sleep about. because the Bengals have a great air attack, and the Titans have a very bad secondary. So that's also something to watch out for. Can the Bengals exploit their secondary? Can Joe Mixon get it going on the ground? I know Joe Mixon's been having a rough couple of weeks. Can he get on the ground? I know the Titans have a great defensive line, but maybe he breaks out. But I think the biggest factor here is the Titans' defensive line against the Bengals' offensive line. Me and Shane, we've talked about how bad the Bengals' offensive line is before. Joe Burrow is the most sacked quarterback in football. And as Shane said, the Titans' defensive line with Denico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons, and Harold Landry are the only defensive line of football where every guy on the line has 8 sacks, at least. So that's going to be something to watch out for Joe Burrow. I know their offensive line struggles at times, so it'll be interesting to watch. But this will be a great game and a great game to start off the divisional weekend. But unfortunately, I think the miracle season of the Bengals ends right here. I think next year they'll be back with full force, a couple free agent acquisitions and some draftees. They'll be even better. But the future looks bright in Cincinnati, but I don't think they take down the Titans with their best player coming back. I got the Titans winning 31-27. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I don't think the Bengals will be able to get it done this year. It kind of sucks because I really wish we didn't have this game in a divisional round. I think this game would have been better if it was the AFC Championship game, just because both in the beginning of the season people thought Tennessee was like they didn't deserve to be where they were last year. But same with the Bengals. People didn't think Bengals were going to be great this year, and it's great seeing a different team in the playoffs. Obviously, with a lot of young players, but like you said, I don't think the Bengals have what it takes all around to beat the Titans this year yet. Next year could be a different story with if they draft the O lineman or they sign a veteran lineman as well in the offseason. But I have the Titans winning this game 30-29.
So let's get to our game tonight. This is going to be tonight. Shane, you said the Titans are 4-point favorites. I don't know if Shane said that or not, but I think he did. But the Titans are 4-point favorites. But this game will be the Saturday night game between the 6th-seeded 49ers, who finished the year at 10-7, against the top-seeded Green Bay Packers, who finished the year 13-4, and the Packers are 5.5-point favorites. First of all, shout out to my sister and my brother-in-law Mike and my sister Jordan. They're actually at this game, freezing their asses off today. It's 5 degrees in Lambeau Field, but my boy Davis, he's a diehard Packers fan. Wishing you luck, my guy. It'll be a great game. They actually, Shane, real quick, they went on a tour of the stadium and they met the guy that invented the Lambeau Leap, and they got pictures of him. I think they got their autograph, so it's pretty sick. But anyway, so this is a rematch of the 2019 NFC title game, and the Packers are undefeated at home. So the key here is, will they remain undefeated at home? The Packers are getting healthy at the right time for a deep playoff push. They're getting left tackle David Bakhtiari back, cornerback Jair Alexander, linebacker Zadarius Smith, other linebacker Whitney Mercilus. They're just getting healthy at the right time. However, Aaron Rodgers is 0-3 versus San Francisco in the playoffs. He's not beat the 49ers in the playoffs in his career. The X factor here in this game is a battle of two different multi-time or Pro Bowlers, either past or current or all pros. So for the one, it's cornerback Jair Alexander versus wide receiver Deebo Samuel. And the other one is left tackle David Bakhtiari versus defensive end Nick Bosa. Can Nick Bosa create havoc like he has? He's going against a tough matchup with a great left tackle in David Bakhtiari, who's been hurt all year, but he did play in Week 18. He tore his ACL last year, but he is back. Nick Bosa, I believe, did get a sack, and a lot of pressures off of Tyron Smith, who's another Pro Bowl left tackle. But, the other matchup, like I said before, is Jair versus Deebo Samuel. How will Jair Alexander, playing a wide receiver like Deebo Samuel with these jet sweeps and these lining up as a running back, how will Jair adapt to that? Will be interesting to see. So, Shane, my question to you is, how do you think those two matchups I just said, Jair versus Deebo, Bakhtiari versus Bosa, how will they impact this game?
I think more so, I don't think the Bosa and I don't even know how to say his last name.
Bakhtiari. Yeah.
I don't even know. But I think that's not so much less important, but less determining factor as the game goes on. You already know Nick Bosa. He's gonna have a great game. He's a great player. Um, but Debo Samuel versus Jair Alexander, like you said, they put Debo at running back a lot. They didn't really do that much earlier in the year when they faced off in week 3, which the Packers won on a game-winning field goal. Uh, that game, those two teams in week 3 are way different. Were way different than the teams they have right now. The 49ers are 10 times better. The Packers have a lot of their players back. Um, I think Jair Alexander. I think he's the X factor here. I don't even think it's more so the matchup versus Debo. I think if Jair Alexander can lock up Debo in multiple ways, both at wide receiver, running back, the jet sweeps, the inside zone runs that Shanahan runs all the time. Uh, I think that's the determining factor of this game because if Jair Alexander can limit Debo uh, Samuel's uh, production in this game, I think that bodes very well for the Packers because then Aaron Rodgers can do his thing. However, there to me, I think Aaron Rodgers, he's just he's he's not good in these types of games, no matter where he is. Like you said, he's 0-3 versus the 49ers in the playoffs, and he's 1-4 in general in the NFC title game. In a lot of those games, I believe two or three of those games, he's been home. Um, which is weird because when you play at Lambeau, it's really hard to lose as a Packers player, obviously. But I think Debo is going to have a big key. Same with Jair Alexander in this game to see who wins this game.
Yeah, this will be a great game. I think, something we haven't really even talked about in the last 2 games is some quarterbacks. With the Titans, it's Ryan Tannehill, and the 49ers, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. They're non-factors. They're game managers, and I don't really hate either quarterback, but when you think of the greatness of these two teams, you don't think of Jimmy Garoppolo and Ryan Tannehill. So, but for Jimmy G, he cannot sell the game. Jimmy G's been, he's been winning games, but he hasn't been playing the greatest. So G needs to play like a game manager. You can't, don't make the crazy throws. Find Elijah Mitchell, find Ayuk, make the smart throws. George Kittle's been quiet. Expect George Kittle to have a good game, but I think the Packers are going to come away with this game on a game-winning touchdown drive by Aaron Rodgers. The Packers win this game 27-21 and advance to the second or their third straight NFC title game, 27-21. What about you, Shane?
I like the Packers in this one, but I don't know. 49ers, they've been one of the hottest teams in football the last couple of weeks. Obviously, it's the playoffs, but even before the playoffs, those last 3 or 4 weeks, they've been really, really hot. Excuse me. I have a feeling the 49ers is going to upset the Packers here 28-27. And, whether it's a game-winning drive, like a touchdown or a field goal, I have a feeling 49ers are going to pull this one out. On to our next game, which is going to be quite another rematch game from a regular season game from earlier in the year, just like the past game we just talked about. It's going to be the 4th seed Rams, who are 12-5, going to Tampa to face the 2nd seed Buccaneers, who are 13-4 or finished 13-4. The Buccaneers are 3-point favorites. There's a lot of hype with these two teams that came into the league or this year. My bad. I can't speak today. This is arguably Matthew Stafford's biggest game of his career. We know Matthew Stafford. He's been great all of his career, but he's been with the Lions most of the time, so he hasn't had a lot of playoff experience. And on the other side is Tom Brady, who he's been to 10 Super Bowls, so I don't even need to say a lot about that. How much experience he's got. He continues to prove week after week, whether he has players, whether he doesn't have players. He's the greatest quarterback that will ever touch turf. Can he keep that up this year though? The X factor here is that Tom Brady has a little banged up O line versus the Rams D line. Obviously, you got Von Miller, you got Aaron Donald. How will they play up against Tampa Bay's O line? who's missing two All-Pro or two pro linemen in Ryan Jensen, who's their center, and then Tristan Wirfs, who's their All-Pro right tackle. They were hurt last week against the Eagles. Tom Brady, he lost this year against LA in the regular season, and he's 0-2 against them since joining Tampa Bay. So my question here for you, Will, is do you think Tom Brady will do just what Tom Brady does and pull off another win, or do you think LA is kryptonite for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year?
No, it's hard to bet against Tom Brady. It really is, but he, like you said, Shane, he always finds a way to win games when the cards are not in his favor. But this one, it really is not looking good. You know, Chris Godwin's obviously out for the season. AB had that big storm off against the Jets, so he's not on the team anymore. So that leads Tom Brady with Mike Evans and Gronk, who, don't get me wrong, are great weapons. But compared to what they had with Chris Godwin and AB, they're not comparable. With all four of them, you got two of them, you know. I think that's going to be a big factor into this, as well as the offensive line being hurt. Tom Brady was the least sacked quarterback in football, and now with his all-pro right tackle out and his Pro Bowl center out, it's not going to be good, especially with Von Miller lining up on the right side of the line. And afterwards, it didn't give the Eagles some fight when they got hurt, but you could definitely tell that Tom Brady was experiencing more pressure when Jensen and Wirfs both went out. So this is going to be very interesting to see. With the Rams offense, you know, they got Cooper Kupp, the Triple Crown winner, the first one, I don't even know, a long time. You know, he had a hell of a season. He's a great player. And they don't even have just him. They got Odell Beckham, who's having a little bit of a career resurgence, and he was in Cleveland. People thought he was washed. He wasn't good anymore, and he kind of had a great bounce back second half with the Rams. Tyler Higbee for the Rams, a great tight end. You know, the Rams just have weapons on weapons on weapons, and Matthew Stafford didn't even really, you know, he was basically a game manager last week, but they got the win. Their defense was suffocating. They got a pick six on Kyler Murray, and the Cardinals have a good offense, and the Rams only allowed them to 11 points. So I think the Rams are hot. The Buccaneers, I think this is the game where all their injuries they sustained in the regular season come back to bite them. You know, like I said, it's hard to bet against Tom Brady. It really is, and I really don't want to because he is the greatest of all time, like you said, Shane. But it's just not looking good for him in this game. You know, you're losing, two great linemen, a great receiver, two great receivers. I just think this is where all the injuries come back to bite Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the ass. And I think the Rams win this game and they advance the NFC title game 34-31. What about you, Shane?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not even saying it just because I'm a Bucks fan. Something about Brady and big games. And you got to think of it too. That the Buccaneers are home as well. They're very good at home. We didn't even talk about this, but you got Ramsey versus Evans, which has always been a very interesting matchup. But you know, I don't know, man. Gronk, he's a mismatch in my opinion, for the Rams, both for their secondary and their linebackers. So I don't know. They definitely have a game plan for the Rams defense. So it's obviously going to be close. It's not like it's Buccaneers have no chance of winning. I personally think the Buccaneers are going to win this game, but it's going to be hard for Tom Brady. I think this is going to be one of Tom Brady's biggest challenges so far as a Buccaneer. But I have Tampa Bay winning a close one, 37-34.
And it really is hard to go against Tom Brady. And one of my friends said the biggest X factor in this game is who would you rather trust in the postseason, Matthew Stafford or Tom Brady? I'm picking Tom Brady any day of the week, but Tom Brady is not the whole entire Buccaneers team. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to go against Tom Brady, and I will keep on saying that. And I love Tom Brady. I think he's the greatest of all time. But it's almost like, what did Michael Jordan do before Scottie Pippen got there? You know? And I really feel like the Buccaneers are – if they have Chris Godwin and AB, I'm taking the Bucs. I think the Bucs win the rematch. But especially with their offensive line getting banged up too, I really think that's going to be the final nail in the coffin for the Bucs. But like you said, Shane, this is going to be a great game. Not as great as this game, though, the last game, which I think is going to be the game of the year. You know, that might be a hot take. I know we still got the Super Bowl plus the title games, but I think this is going to be the game of the year. We got the Sunday night game against the 3-seeded Buffalo Bills, who are 11-6, versus the 2-seeded Kansas City Chiefs, who are 12-5, and the Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites here. In a high-profile AFC title game rematch, can the Bills avenge the loss they suffered last year in the title game in Arrowhead? two of the league's best offenses meet in what has potential to be game of the year, as I said. The X factors here, Shane, are just the whole team. What offense has more firing power? Which defense can get that crucial stop for the game that forces either a field goal when they need a touchdown? This is going to be one hell of a game, and these two teams did meet earlier this year in Week 5. That's when the Chiefs had their slump, and the Bills crushed them 38-20 in Arrowhead. So Shane, let's just keep on talking about this game, man. What do you think about this game between the Bills and the Chiefs? I mean, I think this is going to be the game of the year potentially, but what do you think about it?
I think this puts a lot of pressure on the Bills. Obviously they beat the Chiefs last time they faced off earlier this year. The Chiefs, obviously, the famous. It's going to be one of the biggest pictures of all time. The Chiefs beat the Bills last year. You see the picture of Diggs looking at the confetti as the Chiefs celebrate going on to the Super Bowl. Obviously, you get this game in the divisional round. Last year was the championship game. But I think this is going to be a very interesting game. The Bills have to win this game in order to prove that they can solidify themselves as like the best team in football. Now that may be a hot take, but like ever since this recharge of the Bills, being really good and taking over the AFC, the one team that's been always above them have obviously been the Chiefs. We already know about how good Patrick Mahomes is. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Their defense is a lot better this year than it was last year. So that their defense versus the Bills' offense will be interesting. And same goes with the Bills' defense. Overall, the Bills have the best defense in the NFL this year. And the Chiefs' offense, not as much high power as they used to be, but they're a lot smarter. The beginning of the year they were making bad decisions, both passing and running the ball, a lot of turnovers. But now they're playing smart football, taking what the defense gives them. So this is going to be a very interesting game. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to the last drive for both teams. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think it's going to be a low scoring game at all. I think both teams puts up at least 25 points. I have the Chiefs winning this game though. I think the Chiefs are just going to pull it out. What do you think, Will?
I don't know what to say, man. This game is going to be crazy. This is going to be the game of the year. I know I keep on saying that, but I just am putting this game on a pedestal. I think the Bills are hungry. It's hard to go against Mahomes in the playoffs. The only person that's beaten Mahomes is Tom Brady. But he's also never lost in the divisional round, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Tom Brady had this, Tom Brady that, with Mahomes. But I think this is the year the Bills finally beat the Chiefs. I know last year they lost. 2 years ago they lost in the first round. This is the year they finally make the AFC title game and have a great chance of making it to the Super Bowl. I think the Bills win this game 34-30. And like they said at the bar, Shane, alert, laser. That guy's gonna go crazy because I know that's your best fan, right, Shane?
Listen, man. If when we go to another Smoky Bones Buffalo game, if they win this game, and they just start screaming at the TV, I may have JJ give me a drink, and I may beat him over the head.
Sister JJ Shane has a crush on Sister JJ.
I wouldn't say that, but she's a very good bartender. I obviously don't drink. This is just a little joke. But the reality is, I may beat some Buffalo Bills fans with shot glasses or something. If they excuse my language, if they piss me off with their
just take it easy, man.
With their stupidity of how little football they know because they're just casual fans that don't think Tom Brady's the GOAT just because he owned your team for 20 years. I may have to get violent with them if I hear laser more than once from a fan. Am I gonna get put through in a table by 20 of them? Probably. But you know what? If it shuts them up, I'm all for it. But yeah, laser. I still think the Chiefs are going to win this game, though.
Well, that's what we got. This is going to be the last time we have a game of the week because next week there will only be 2 games in the Super Bowl and stuff. So this will be the last time we give a game of the week. Obviously, all these games are good. I'm not saying this one's the only good one this week, but no, the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs is mine. I've already said it numerous times. I won't keep on repeating myself. It's going to be a great game. And go Bills. What about you, Shane?
My game of the week is going to be the Rams versus the Buccaneers. I just think, this is a redemption game for the Bucs. When they faced the Rams in the beginning of the year, week 3, obviously the Rams were playing a lot better back then than they were right now, in my opinion. They obviously didn't have Von Miller and Odell Beckham, though. And early in the year, Tom Brady and the Bucs, they still had these injuries, but they weren't like back in the flow of the season, if you know what I mean. So I think this is a game it's going to be worth watching. So.
And lastly, the picks record. I have clapped Shane's cheeks. Shane. Right, Shane. 105-66, and Shane has 98-73.
Hey,
Shane.
Listen. If all my picks are right this week, it's going to be a lot closer. It's going to be 106-101, and with the win column. So,
there's no way you can come back and win Rocket because there's only 3 more games after this. Correct.
But, it makes me look a lot better. But, I did have that 1 week where, like, all the upsets happened against me and you predicted them. So, you got a little lucky there. But,
yeah. My football IQ is higher than yours, eh?
Ha! Ha!
Yawn! Do it, Shane. Yawn!
That's not funny.
You didn't yawn.
No, it's not funny. That was a terrible joke. It is terrible joke. That's like running. That's like doing a QB draw with 14 seconds left in the game when you're down by a couple points in the playoffs. I would never do that. But the Cowboys would because they can't play football. But anyways, I just triggered. Did you hear that? I just triggered 1.7 billion Cowboys fans.
Go figure, Shanson.
Yeah, I'm gonna get canceled. Yawn.
Well, guys, that's gonna conclude the divisional round of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Thank you guys so much all for listening and supporting us for this year. Don't forget to watch the games today. It'll be all great games tomorrow and today. And Shane, do you have anything else you want to add real quick, man, before we sign off for the episode? I know this is a shorter episode, but there's only 4 games this week, so I don't want to like beat it with a dead horse and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go on for 2 hours talking about 4 games, So Shane, do you have anything else you want to add or?
No, not really. Follow my Instagram, primetime_Shane.
You changed it.
I almost squatted 600 freaking pounds. So anybody needs a running back in the NFL. Almost every team. You can sign me up. Rookie deal. I don't care where, as long as it's warm. I heard Saquon ain't doing good. You Giants can get a new running back, William.
What?
Ryder Rocket could replace, Saquon. But no, follow the Instagram. Thank you for supporting us. There's going to be a lot of great games tonight, today, tonight, and tomorrow. So, just a lot of interesting games. Most playoff games, you're like, oh yeah, they're good games, but they, any team could lose, today or tomorrow. So I feel like this is the best divisional round matchups we've seen in the playoffs in a while. So just go ahead and watch some football. It's going to be very good.
Yep, and don't forget to stay tuned for our episode next week. We're going to talk about the AFC and NFC championship games, and the week after that, the week in between the Super Bowl and the the Pro Bowl week. I guess we're not going to really talk about the Pro Bowl because realistically nobody really watches the Pro Bowl. Let's keep it real. We're going to give our, like we did last year, the award predictions. We're going to talk about who's going to win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, all the awards too. And then obviously we're going to do our season finale of the Super Bowl, which will be on the second Sunday of February. So, guys, once again, thank you guys all for listening. Take care. Don't forget to watch the games today and tomorrow. Take it easy and stay tuned for our next episode next week. Thanks, guys. Have a great one now.